Hey, what's up, everyone? For this video, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to talk about the ROH 9th anniversary show, some of the mega indie shows coming up from PWG, CHIKARA. New Japan's actually coming to the East Coast. I want to talk about Pro Wrestling Noah, Austin Aries, his recent promo. I'll talk about the WWE WrestleMania, the whole WrestleMania scene right now, what's coming up for WrestleMania. And I'll talk about the NBA, all the trades and transactions and the all the storylines around the NBA. So yeah, this will probably be the longest video I've ever done. So I'm not expecting everyone to listen to the whole thing. Maybe you could just watch a portion of it. That'll probably be the exact order I'll talk about everything in. So maybe you guys could do your homework or do some chores around your room or house, and maybe you could watch a professional wrestling match on YouTube. I would actually recommend checking out Eddie Edwards versus Kotaro Suzuki from Pro Wrestling Noah. I would say this is probably my match of the year so far. I just thought it was an awesome match. Probably the best Eddie Edwards match, the best match I've seen Edwards have so far for the GUSA Junior Heavyweight Championship. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. So definitely search for Edwards versus Kotaro Suzuki on YouTube, and you can watch it for free. So check that out. Also, Edwards versus Christopher Daniels for the TV title on HDNet. I thought it was an awesome match. One of the best Christopher Daniels matches without a doubt. This is when Daniels won the television championship from Edwards. I thought it was great. Also, you had Eddie Edwards versus Roderick Strong. That's coming up at Manhattan Mayhem IV. So Edwards is on a roll right now. Also, Christopher Daniels back in TNA. He's wrestling under the suicide gimmick. I mean, the clock is pretty much just ticking for Daniels and ROH. Kind of a shame. I was hoping he would stick around a little bit longer, but you kind of had to expect it. He has kids. He's got a high mortgage. So, I talked about this potentially happening back in May, actually. So, yeah, it kind of sucks, but Daniels is probably going back to TNA. It's a good thing they didn't put the championship on Christopher Daniels. So, but I'll talk more about Daniels too. He's getting a title shot against Roderick Strong, which a lot of people are pissed off about. All right, so let's talk about the 9th anniversary show. The 9th anniversary show is coming up today, and I think this is going to be a great show, to tell you the truth. Probably one of the weakest internet pay-per-views without a doubt. But I still think it has potential to be really, really solid. Probably even better than Glory by Honor if everything goes great. Maybe even better than Final Battle 2009. So it definitely has potential. And for an anniversary show, it actually looks pretty good. It looks a little bit better than last year's anniversary show, which was pretty much a 2-match show. Even though they were great matches, you pretty much had nothing else but those 2 matches on it. So this looks a lot more well-rounded. It looks like a very, very solid card from top to bottom. If Homicide and Roderick Strong delivers, then I think this is going to be a great show. All right, so we have Colt Cabana versus Davey Richards for the first time ever in Ring of Honor. I definitely think this is probably the first time these guys have ever faced each other. I'm pretty much 100% sure on that. And, just a nice mix of styles. You got, Cabana, who doesn't really take it too seriously, more of a comedy act, versus the ultra serious, ultra hungry Davey Richards. So I think this could be a great match. I'd probably say a 4-star match, nothing more, nothing less. But it could definitely be one of Cabana's best matches. This could be Cabana's best match ever. I think his match with Danielson at Gut Check, that's probably #1 for me. It'll be hard to top that, but this could be up there though. Definitely Davey's going over. This is pretty much just your main attraction mid-card match on the show. El Generico versus Michael Elgin. Not really feeling it. Elgin's a good wrestler, but I just think he's a little bit out of shape. He's good though. He's good, but this is not something that you want to put on a pay-per-view. This is something you would expect at a house show, like a Dayton show or a Manassas, Virginia show. Not something that you want to put on pay-per-view. Kind of disappointed because they've been building up El Generico so well with the awesome victory against Steen at Final Battle. I definitely think Generico, should possibly win the Ring of Honor World Title before this year is over. And I think he could attract a lot of kids and mainstream fans to the company as well. So I think it'd be smarter to utilize Generico a lot better on pay-per-view in the future than just having him face someone that a lot of people don't even know about. If I was Ring of Honor, I would put Generico against Kyle O'Reilly or someone else that could really, really go. That's a little bit more established than a Michael Elgin at this point. The Prodigy Mike Bennett, that 4-corner scramble match, I mean, that might open up the show. I just want to touch on the Prodigy really quickly. I'm not that high on this guy. I think he's kind of overrated. Jim Cornette hyped him up so well, and he's just kind of underwhelming so far. I like the manager and everything. I like the gimmick, but the guy he's kind of average on the mic. He's kind of boring, to tell you the truth. He's pretty much the most boring wrestler on the independent scene right now. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people don't think he can wrestle. Hasn't proven anything in the ring or on the mic. So I think the heat is on for him. But give him some time, though. I actually heard his match is pretty good at the Charlotte DVD taping. All right, so we'll get the All Night Express versus the Kings of Wrestling. Kenny King and Red Titus finally challenging for the Ring of Honor World Titles. I think this will be I mean, it would be a great match, a 4-star match. Don't expect this to be the best Kings of Wrestling match to date yet. The build-up has been pretty good on HDNet. Heroes cut some awesome promos, kind of insulting and making fun of the All Night Express for being a comedy act, a sideshow act. You know, bringing down the hotel cards, giving them to the girls in the crowd. He said it's very, very cute, but it doesn't win championships. So the build-up's been kind of underrated. You know, I think it's been okay. All Night Express look like the clear-cut baby faces. Kings of Wrestling are supposed to be the heels. It'll probably be the opposite. I see Hero and Claudio getting kind of treated like gods in this match by the Chicago crowd. But it'll still be good. This will be more of a babyface versus babyface match. None of these teams will probably have any heat at all. I see Kings of Wrestling retaining the tag team championships. You got to do Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin versus Kings of Wrestling. That's probably going to be the main event for Manhattan Mayhem IV or in Atlanta. Definitely one of those two shows. There's no way around it. That definitely needs to happen. The rubber match, but this time for the tag team championships. So we'll have the #1 contenders match for the championships. We'll have Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin taking on the Briscoes. This is a dream matchup. This will probably be the match of the night. You know, you got the best tag team in the world from 2003 against the best tag team in the world from like 2006, 2007. So it is a big matchup. This could be great. You know, probably the best match of the night. I see Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin winning here. You know, it's like some other guys have said, the Briscoes, you know, yeah, they pretty much step up every single time they're on pay-per-view. That's going back to 2007. So I would expect that to be the match of the night by far. Well, no, I think All Night Express and Kings of Wrestling has potential too. But all right, so let's jump into Homicide versus Roderick Strong. You know, this is pretty much this had to happen, you know, because Homicide came out. You know, he interrupted Roderick Strong. It was very, very random, but that was pretty much the only way they could do it. So eventually they kind of forced themselves to come back to this situation with Homicide and Strong on a pay-per-view. I like it though. I like the fact that this is going to be for the championship in a no-holds-barred match, which I think suits Homicide's personality. You know, I think they definitely needed to do this, given that Homicide has been very, very sluggish, very mediocre. He's been criticized heavily. He's probably the most hated guy in Ring of Honor right now on the YWC/IWC. Even the Dragon USA, a lot of the fans are very, very disappointed with this guy so far. And I'm just kind of curious as to if Homicide is listening to the criticism, and if he knows about the criticism. You would think the kind of competitor that he is, given his track record, that he would come back, you know, this would light a fire under his ass and would come back and deliver something great, which I think will probably happen here. So yeah, and Roderick Strong, you know, for guys that don't know, Roderick Strong thrives in this environment with the hardcore stipulation. You know, watches matches against Eric Stevens and some of the No Remorse Core versus the Resilience, those hardcore matches. He's great in hardcore matches, and the guy always delivers. He needs to do his talking in the ring because he's just awful on the mic. You know, Roderick and Tyler Black. I'm just watching some of Tyler Black's promos from last year. I just thought they were pretty weak, actually. And same thing with Roderick Strong. These guys just need to step it up on the microphone. So, you know, but the only way around it is just to deliver in the ring. That's the only way they can make up for it. So Roderick has to deliver here, or else they're going to take the title off of him soon. You know, this is pretty much the only thing Roderick can rely on is his in-ring ability. So the heat is on here, but I'm expecting a good match. I like Honor Hammer's analysis of this, how, you know, maybe you could have Low-Ki come out after the match, given the track record of Homicide and Low-Ki together. So I think that's a possibility right there. You know, I think Low-Ki and Roderick Strong, that's a dream match for me. That needs to be done on a big time ROH show. If Low-Ki could potentially come back to Ring of Honor, which I'm not sure why it's taking so long, but I definitely think he should come back to ROH without a doubt. Yeah. So also, you know, you got Manhattan Mayhem IV coming up in New York City. This will not be on pay-per-view. This would be the first time since Supercard of Honor 5, which a New York City show will not be broadcasted live over the internet, which is kind of disappointing, but I still think it'll be a great show. You know, you get Eddie Edwards and Roderick Strong. I'm really looking forward to that. I think Edwards will put on an awesome show. It's a fresh matchup for me. You know, or you might get Edwards versus Homicide, which I 100% will tell you that's not going to happen. So it'll probably pretty much be Edwards versus Roderick Strong for the championship on March 19th. But like I said, I think Kings of Wrestling are going to main event Manhattan Mayhem 4. I definitely think that's going to be the big draw of the show. Kings of Wrestling probably versus World's Greatest Tag Team. Or maybe you could do Kings of Wrestling versus the Briscoes in a Ladder War 3. I doubt it, but maybe Kings of Wrestling versus Briscoes 2 out of 3 falls. There's some kind of stipulation. Maybe a steel cage match. I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah, so next part of the video. Alright, next part of the video I want to talk about some of the independent wrestling shows that are coming up. We have PWG's DDT4. This looks like it's going to be the show of the year, just like other people are saying. I mean, there's just no way around it. This show looks so stacked. You know, you got Young Bucks, American Wolves, the Cutler Brothers, Briscoe Brothers, Kings of Wrestling, Kevin Steen teaming up with the hottest Japanese guy in the United States right now, Akira Tozawa. Now, the thing that's kind of disappointing about this, I've heard that Paul London will not be on the show, so the main event will probably not be for the tag team championships. El Generico, I thought Kings of Wrestling won the titles at Cyanide. I guess they didn't, though. I don't know. I guess it was misinformed about that. I did not see Cyanide yet, which I heard was a really, really good show. I haven't seen Kevin Steen versus Akira Tozawa. I imagine those guys created something special in that match if they're actually teaming together now. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the finals for that show, obviously, you got to do Young Bucks versus Kings of Wrestling. That's got to be done on the show because they didn't. Ring of Honor really didn't showcase that match to its full potential. That was kind of just like a throwaway match on the Chicago show. We should have got a lot more time. American Wolves versus Kings of Wrestling. I would definitely think they need to have a rematch, so why not just do it there? Briscoes and American Wolves, that would probably be done again in a first round matchup. And then Steen and Tozawa, I like that tag team right there. I just think it's so interesting teaming those guys up together. But yeah, some of the other teams, you know, you got PWG homegrown talent. Don't really want to go into it, but yeah, PWG DDT4 March 4, 2011. I'm going to say this will probably end up being one of the top 5 independent wrestling shows of the year. So yeah. New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan's actually coming to New York City, and I think Philadelphia. I think they're coming to Jersey on May 13th, and then they're going to Philly on the 14th, and then the 15th, I think they're coming to. Oh, you know what? I screwed this up. It's on May 13th. They're coming to Jersey, Rahway, New Jersey. I think on the 14th they're coming to Basketball City, and I think on the 15th they're coming to Union City. I think that's the schedule. So yeah, New Japan coming to New York. I definitely want to go to one of those shows. There's so many shows coming up, and then you have Chikara's Brooklyn show. It's called Creatures of the Swamp. We're going to be getting Eddie Kingston versus Claudio Castagnoli, which should be an awesome match. I mean, this should be, you know, if you've seen Kingston and Claudio, the match that had 3 Fisted Tails, that match was so stiff and so awesome. You know, I mean, if this main event's the show, we should be getting something special here. I mean, I haven't been really too up to date with Chikara's storylines as of late, but you know, I think this could possibly be the blow-off match because it is in Brooklyn, so it could be something special. Also, you got Quackenbush and Jigsaw against the Colony. I think the first time these guys have ever faced each other for the Campeones de Parejas. That should be an awesome match. So you got a great double main event right there. You know, it kind of sucks that the Chikara show and the Ring of Honor New York City show are so close to each other, because it's kind of tough to go to both shows because I have to travel from Jersey, so it's kind of tough to get to both of those shows. So it's very, very expensive, and it's very, very draining because it just takes, you know, the traveling to Brooklyn just takes the life out of you with you know, hopping on all the different trains and stuff like that. So then you have King of Trios coming up, which looks very, very good so far. Yeah, Manami Toyota coming in. You know, they have like 4 teams signed for it, all very, very solid teams. So we'll see if they could bring in someone else. I would expect them to bring in some more talent from Japan, possibly, or you know, some PWG guys, or maybe some Ring of Honor guys as well for King of Trios, because they are hyping it up beautifully so far. Evolve 7 will be taking place in late April. This will be at the same place that Dragon Gate USA just did their New York show, at the BB King Bar and Grill in New York. So that'll be Evolve 7. I think for Evolve 7, I say you need to go with. I'll talk about Austin Aries a little bit later. I would love to see Quackenbush versus Aries at Evolve 7. If you can't do Quack and Aries, then maybe you could do maybe Akira Tozawa versus Quackenbush. I would like to see that. I definitely think Quackenbush needs to be in that main event. I would just love for Quack to main event an Evolve show. That's just me. I don't know if that sounds kind of random or whatever, but Maybe you could throw Chuck Taylor in there. I think Chuck Taylor's hot right now. Um, Trying to think of some other guys. I mean, maybe you could bring in some talent from Japan, you know, for Evolve 7. Some non-Dragon Gate talent to make it different. So we'll see what happens there. And then Dragon Gate USA, you know, they're running shows in Atlanta. Don't really want to talk about them that much, but, you know, we'll be getting Akira Tozawa versus Yamato in a non-title match. I love Akira Tozawa. I definitely think Dragon Gate USA needs to put the belt on him soon. Being that he is the one guy that pretty much stays in the United States more so than anybody. All right, so let's move on to Pro Wrestling Noah. I just want to talk about Takashi Sugiura and his GHC Heavyweight Championship reign. What do you guys think? You know, he's been the champion since December 2009. When do you think he's going to lose the belt? You know, he had an awesome resume of matches from 2010. You know, I would probably say his best match was against Shiozaki. I just thought that match was very, very nicely executed. The Morishima match was great as well. You can't deny that. He got dropped on his head a couple times. They still put on an epic match. He had great matches against Akiyama. The match against Kenta, I saw it on YouTube. It was kind of forgettable compared to some of the other stuff he did. But yeah, Sugiura's been a great champion. I just like his style because he just seems like when he comes out to the ring, he's just so relaxed. Like, I've never seen anyone like so just mellow and just chill, and then once the match starts, he just kicks the guy and just kicks his opponent's ass every single time. So, also with Pro Wrestling Noah, just want to touch on Naomichi Marufuji. You can go to IVP videos right now, and they actually have the best of Naomichi Marufuji from 2010. Just look at the match listing on that set. It looks so freaking awesome. I mean, I don't see how you can deny that Marufuji wasn't one of the best wrestlers from 2010, even though he got hurt. And definitely, if you include the Super J Cup stuff, I definitely think Marufuji was the best wrestler from last year. I know you want to say Davey, Tyler Black, even Sugiura, even Claudio, but if we're just talking about match quality, I still say you have to go with Marufuji. You know, Tyler Black, after September, he really didn't do much. Whenever Davey was in New Japan, he pretty much just wrestled in like mid-card tag matches. I mean, really, Davey really didn't have a lot of great matches in New Japan. And he was in New Japan pretty much half the amount of time in 2010. So even though Marufuji got hurt, I still say you have to go with Marufuji as, you know, the best wrestler from 2010. So that's just me. So definitely check out. Now, the quality on that video is going to suck because on those huge compilation videos, they jam a whole bunch of footage onto each disc. So the quality of those, the actual video quality might be not that good. But I still think it's worth the money. It's only like $8.99, and you get all of Marufuji's matches from 2010 on it, so it is. I think it's a great deal. Kenta, I've heard that Kenta might be turning heel, or he has turned heel. I haven't heard anything about it yet, like officially, but I heard a rumor about that. So if you guys want to confirm it, then definitely post in the comment section. I think that's pretty cool right there. So you know, Pro Wrestling Noah talent being brought into ROH. What do you guys think? I think for WrestleMania weekend, hopefully someone from Pro Wrestling Noah or even New Japan. I doubt it, but probably you would think that someone would be brought in from Noah, considering that Delirious has a pretty good track record with Noah. You know, he wrestled on like a dozen Noah shows last year, so you would think he probably has a great relationship with somebody over there. I don't know. I just think it's about time that, you know, ROH brought in a mega attraction like a Kenta, Marufuji, or a Sugiura, or Shiozaki, you know, for one of the shows. I think that would be awesome. I definitely want to see Davey and Kenta again. I really want to see it one more time. And Davey versus Marufuji. Those two matches right there. Definitely need to see it. Also, Hero versus I think Hero versus Shiozaki in ROH would definitely be another big time dream matchup. Austin Aries. Aries has cut this great promo on YouTube. I think Austin Aries' channel is Real Healy Man. I think that's the name of his channel. But definitely, you just search it. You know, everyone's been talking about this video. Aries might be joining Tough Enough, which I think is a smart move. I think even if he doesn't win the actual contest, they'll definitely see his ability, see how he could go on the mic and in the ring. He's been taking acting classes as well, so I think that's definitely going to help Aries in the long run. And yeah, he seems like he's pretty happy out there. But it was a great promo. But you know, at the same time, I agree with him. There's really nothing else he could do on the independent scene right now. Obviously, he's getting old. He's about to turn 34 years old, if you guys could believe it or not. So, you know, I'm happy for Aries. I mean, if the Tough Enough thing doesn't work out, I kind of feel bad for him though, because he's like the one ROH legend that really never made it to WWE. You know, he had his falling out with TNA. He probably can't go back to TNA. He probably doesn't want to go back to TNA. He probably make just as much money wrestling on the independent scene and in Japan than going back to TNA. So, you know, I think Aries in WWE would be sweet. You know, imagine him and Danielson having matches for the U.S. Championship. I could definitely see that happening. You know, I do see it. You know, Aries versus Evan Bourne. I think that could be a huge feud on SmackDown in the future. So, yeah, I just wish Aries the best of luck, and I just wish him the best. Also, the Ring of Honor title picture. I'm going to go back to ROH really, really briefly, and then we'll get into WWE. You know, I know people are complaining about Roderick being the champion, and I agree. You know, I'm even watching some of, you know, Tyler Black's promos from last year. You know, while Black did improve on the mic, he was just, some of those promos are just really, really tough to listen to. And Roderick, you know, it doesn't matter what this guy does. He's just, I mean, I think he's improved on the mic a little bit. I think he's good in backstage segments where he's kind of arguing, like when he was arguing with Jay Briscoe. I thought he was great in that promo. But overall, you know, people are saying that it's kind of embarrassing for him to be the ROH champion because he sucks so bad on the mic. I don't know. You know, as far as match quality goes, Roderick is putting on an awesome string of matches. He's in the best shape of his life right now. He's a great wrestler. You could argue that Strong is definitely the best worker in ROH right now. But, you know, given that the company is kind of going through a crisis right now with the HDNet not renewing the deal, you know, if you want to, the best choice to be the Ring of Honor champion right now is Chris Hero. But at the same time, you could still market the Kings of Wrestling like they're the biggest names in the company, like they are. Like the tag team championships are just as strong as the ROH World Title, which it is right now. So, I mean, Hero doesn't have to be the champion because he is the tag team champion. So, I think Generico is a strong choice to be the champ. Davey Richards. You know, people are speculating that Davey's hitting Tyler Black syndrome by, you know, he's had so many title shots that it's kind of pointless. To give him the belt right now or to give him the belt in the future. You know, people are going to be sick of him by the time he does win the belt. I don't know. I think Davey's so good, and he has such an edge to him that I don't think that'll be the case. And if you know, the thing is, if Davey does start to get stale, then you could just turn him heel. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But to tell you the truth, I really see Eddie Edwards winning the belt before Davey Richards at this point, unless something dramatically happens. I know that there's speculation that Davey might be getting the title shot at Death Before Dishonor whenever that comes up. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so the ROH World Title picture, I think it's crucial. I mean, I don't see Strong keeping the belt any longer than Death Before Dishonor. I think he'll lose it at Death Before Dishonor. It's just, I just don't know if it's going to be Davey or not. Also, the other thing is, just want to touch on the Christopher Daniels versus Roderick Strong has been signed for Atlanta. Now, the message board is kind of shitting on this. They're happy with Edwards getting the title shot, but they're not happy with Daniels getting the title shot. So, you know, but it's something you need to do, though. You need to cash in on Christopher Daniels before he goes back to TNA. So I'm okay with it. I think they'll have a much better match than their Fate of an Angel 2 match. The heat is on, the pressure is on, and I definitely think Roderick will get a great match out of Daniels. I think it definitely needs to happen, though, because it's WrestleMania weekend. You have a whole bunch of, you know, mainstream fans coming to the show, and you know, for them to actually go to the show and get excited about it, they need, you know, I think having Christopher Daniels in the main event on that card definitely makes the show a little bit more appealing than say if it was, you know, El Generico or even Davey Richards. So, okay. All right, so I'll touch on the WWE and WrestleMania really quickly, all the WrestleMania build-up. First, I want to talk about Triple H and Undertaker. I'm very, very happy they're going in this direction. You know, I know some people are kind of like, oh, it doesn't make sense. You know, he should be facing Barrett or Triple H should be facing Sheamus. I mean, could you really picture Triple H facing a mid-card wrestler 2 years in a row at WrestleMania? I mean, that's just not good business. You know, I don't care about the continuity issue. I really don't care. Like, this is WrestleMania. This is the biggest show of the year. The show is about making money. You need to capitalize and provide the greatest matchups, the biggest matchups you possibly could give the fans. And you know, it's smart too. You know, you have Taker, who's, I guess he's going to be healthy for WrestleMania. Triple H is finally back. This is something you need to capitalize on. While you still can, before, you know, the clock is finally, you know, before time runs out. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, the other thing, Triple H and Taker, they could play off the WrestleMania X7 match, how it eats Triple H alive. The one thing Triple H has never done, this is the only thing Triple H has never done, was beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. And these two guys is arguably still the two biggest names, definitely the two biggest names since the Attitude Era, and probably the two biggest names in the company today. So I definitely think it makes a lot of sense. Actually, I would actually book this as a street fight or a no holds barred match, just like the WrestleMania X7 match. I think that's the only way it could be an amazing match. Triple H is great in a hardcore environment. He definitely needs it too, because Triple H, he's a good wrestler, but he's not a great wrestler in my opinion. He at this stage of his career, he can't have a 5-star match with Undertaker without some type of hardcore stipulation involved. And stuff with HBK, they don't have to bring HBK into it at all. I really don't think it's necessary. So I don't think I don't think sounds redundant at all. You don't have to bring HBK into the match. He doesn't have to be the special guest referee. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Taker versus Triple H. John Cena and The Rock. It looks like we'll be getting Cena versus Miz without a doubt. And it makes sense too. Because this didn't hit me until just recently. WrestleMania 28 is going to be taking place in Miami, Florida. So I think it's pretty obvious now. They're definitely building up towards Cena and Rock at WrestleMania 28 in Miami. Probably will be The Rock's last match ever, and I can't wait for that. Cena's promo was epic, and you got to give Cena credit too, because I know he wrote that stuff. If you listen to Bite This from the early 2000s, Cena used to be on there all the time, and he stated that he comes up with all the raps, all his promos by himself. It was not scripted at all. Whenever Cena goes into the Doctor of Thugonomics mode. All right, looks like we might be getting Daniel Bryan and Sheamus at WrestleMania. This could actually be the match of the night, and I'm serious about that. I don't like Sheamus at all, but I'll give him credit. He has improved, and he's in the ring with the best wrestler in the world. So this could be, this could possibly be the greatest opener in WrestleMania history. I think it should open up the show, and it could still be the match of the night. Randy Orton versus CM Punk. I like the feud too, because I like the fact that they're going back to Unforgiven 2008 when Orton screwed Punk out of the belt. I thought that was total horseshit, and I really was upset about the way that was handled, how they never followed up on it. It took them about 2.5 years to follow up on it, but at least they're following up on it. So, and I like Orton and Punk. I think it's a fresh matchup. I don't think these guys have ever faced each other in a big time match, so happy about that. Edge versus Alberto Del Rio. Kind of mediocre for a WrestleMania title match. I love the idea of Christian being thrown into the mix, making it a triple threat match. Seriously, that would happen. I get the feeling that Vince McMahon is not too high on Christian. Vince doesn't like guys that are smaller, and Christian, the fact that he went to TNA, and I think he still has that working against him. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that they don't do the Money in the Bank this year. I think this WrestleMania could be awesome if they just focus on putting on a great card from top to bottom. I think the card looks pretty good so far, to tell you the truth. And if they do the Money in the Bank, I definitely see Dolph Ziggler winning the Money in the Bank. I'm very, very high on Ziggler. I think he's a tremendous talent. And then I just want to touch on The Miz really quickly. I was happy when he won the belt. I was happy for him, because out of anyone in the WWE, I felt like this was the guy that really has connected with the fans more so than any of the newer talent that WWE had tried to shove down our throats. But I don't know, man. The Miz, as time goes on, I just can't see him as a credible champion. I just don't see it. I think his promos are kind of mediocre, to tell you the truth. And the other thing is his in-ring ability. The whole thing, I wish he never was on the Real World, because there's just no way around it. I just think that definitely hurts him. He's definitely going to have that dark shadow because of the whole MTV situation. Every time I see the guy, I think, oh man, that's the guy from MTV. That's the guy from the Real World. So it definitely makes the title seem less credible to me. But I'll give the guy credit though. He does have a great personality. He is unique on the mic. I would say that. But and I would say, unfortunately, I think Miz is going to retain at WrestleMania though. I think Rock is probably going to screw Cena out of the match. I think it makes absolutely no sense at all to have The Rock actually help Cena win the match. Cena does not need the help. It's not gonna be like Austin versus Michaels, where Austin was somewhat of an underdog against DX, and he needed Tyson to help him overcome the odds. So I definitely don't see Rocky helping Cena out. If anything, I see Rock actually turning on Cena, but I think Rock will still get a babyface pop when he does it. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. I definitely think Rock's going to play a role at the in that match. Okay, for the last part of the video, we're going to talk about the NBA, all the trades, transactions, and storylines around the league. And if you've been watching if you watched this whole video so far, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. And so let's finish up strong with the NBA video. All right, so Carmelo and Chauncey Billups traded to the Knicks for Gallinari, Chandler Felton, and a couple draft picks and some other guys. Don't have the total list in front of me, but yeah, I think this is a good move for the Knicks. I think it's something that they had to do. I mean, let's face it, the Knicks team was great and everything. You'll give Felton credit, give Chandler and Gallinari, those guys, played their hearts out. But bottom line was the East is so strong right now. They don't have a chance with that roster right there. They definitely needed another scorer, another very, very reliable scorer, and Chauncey Billups as well. They needed these two guys to get better. And to actually compete with the Miami or compete with the Chicago or Boston. So I'm happy with it. But I want to talk about Chauncey Billups. It seems like Chauncey's kind of an afterthought here, but I'm very, very high on Chauncey Billups. I think people are forgetting this guy was a former NBA Finals MVP, 2004. I mean, very, very rarely can someone say that they've won an NBA Finals MVP award. It's one of the toughest things to do in sports. And the fact that Chauncey has it says a lot about him. It says a lot about his leadership ability. And, for he's still in shape, at 34, 35, that's pretty much considered old in today's NBA. But I definitely think he has about two or three solid years in him, like all-star caliber years in him. And I just think he's an awesome talent, a very, very smart player. He's played under Larry Brown. So I'm just very, very happy he's in the mix. And on top of that, you got Carmelo and Stoudemire. Chauncey's never played with two guys as talented as that before. I just think it's going to be. I think it's scary to see how good these two guys could play together, Carmelo and Stoudemire. You got two of the most dominant, probably the two best. You could argue that Carmelo and Stoudemire are the two best scorers in the league. So it's pretty scary. Now the downside of this is that you gave up a lot of great role players. You gave up a lot of guys that are young and have potential. And the New York Knicks bench is kind of weak right now. But D'Antoni doesn't really play the bench at all, so I don't think that's that big of a deal. Landry Fields will gain a lot of experience, playing with the big superstars. But can they win the championship? Probably not. But I could definitely see them getting out of the first round. So, and I don't think you need the other thing is I don't really think you need a Chris Paul or a Darren Williams. Maybe for the future, but right now I think Chauncey Billups. I'd take Chauncey over anybody right now in the league at the point guard position. I'm talking about just right now. I just think he's that good. I love him. I think he's great. So I'm very, very excited about this. All-Star Weekend. I just want to touch on the dunk contest really quickly. I know it came off kind of negative on the whole thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Those guys put in great efforts. It was a great contest compared to some of the other ones that have recently taken place. But the lasting impression with the choir coming out and jumping over the car, I just thought it was a little bit too much. I just thought it came up kind of corny. But take nothing away from Blake Griffin; he's an extraordinary talent. Some of those guys put their heart and soul into that dunk contest, so give them credit. The Miami situation. Let me touch on the Big Three storyline. Now, in December, I made a video about Eric Spoelstra. How about does he have to be worried about his job? And obviously, Miami's been on a roll, so I don't think he has to worry about it at all. So, Pat Riley is not coming back. I think that's pretty much a guarantee at this point. But, this YouTuber by the name, I watch his videos all the time. He does not make wrestling videos. He pretty much just makes videos about everything else. But he talked about Dwayne Wade. He was like, his name is Nickelback, Mr. Nickelback TV, and he talk about how Miami needs to get rid of Wade because they don't need him. I think that's totally ridiculous, though. The main reason LeBron came to Miami was to have someone else that could put the ball in the basket. Trust me, LeBron and Bosh alone is not good enough. It's definitely not good enough, especially after last night's performance. I still think Bosh is overrated. It's becoming like a big two now because Bosh has been so underwhelming. I kind of feel bad for him too. I don't understand why every single time he dunks, he's got to scream in everyone's face. It's kind of like he's kind of an attention whore. It just seems like that to me. I just think this guy is one of the most overrated players ever, and it's just proof. Like, he needs, like, the only way he could shine is if he's the only guy on his team. Like, if he's like the only guy or go-to option. I just don't think he plays well with other talent. I just think, to me, he needs to focus on more, like I said in the past, just rebounding, defense. He needs to be a role player. He cannot be taking 18 shots a game. He was like 1 for 18 last night. I love it. It's a shame they're not coming back to New York, because I love those overrated chants when he was at the foul line. It was so much fun to watch that game, Miami versus Knicks in December. That atmosphere is just insane. Also, I want to touch on the Chicago Bulls. Chicago is going to be hot. They're coming off a huge win against Miami last night. I'm surprised they pulled that game out too. Because let me tell you something, LeBron. Let me just go back to LeBron for a second. LeBron he's probably going to win the MVP. LeBron's on a tear right now. I definitely think he's just on a roll right now. Ever since after the All-Star game, he's just going to pace himself. He's going to be very, very difficult to stop. And so I could see Miami ending up as the #1 seed. Don't get me wrong, but Chicago looks great. You know, Joakim Noah is back. And you know, I thought it was going to take some time, you know, to get the chemistry back with Noah, but you know, they still pulled it out last night, which was a miracle. So I thought they played like shit in the first half, but yeah, with Boozer, Noah, and Derrick Rose, that's a deadly trio. And then you got Luol Deng, who's playing great, and then you got a great shooter in Kyle Korver. And I like Chicago's bench as well. I think they're pretty underrated. So I like Chicago. I think Chicago has a huge chance of ending up with the #1 seed now if they could just stay healthy. And I think Boozer is just fit in so beautifully with this offense, and him and Rose have a lot of chemistry as well. All right, so let's touch on the Lakers right now. Kobe's gonna pace himself. I wouldn't put Kobe in the top 5 MVPs in the league. Like, I wouldn't put him in the top 5, but I definitely still think he has a chance at winning the MVP award. I think he just looks like he's to me it seems like Kobe is really gonna try to make an effort to, you know, put this thing together. I think he's kind of been conserving his energy. You know, he had the knee surgery last year, so look for Kobe to step it up and take this team on his back, which I think he has to. He has to be more of a leader. He has to do a better job of getting the other guys to start being more motivated. You know, the Lakers have looked like shit this year. I'm going to be honest with you. Bynum has looked awful at times. Gasol has looked totally unmotivated in a lot of games. His defense has been lackluster. Ron Artest doesn't look like his heart is in it. Every time he has a wide open three, it takes him like 10 seconds to think about it before he even shoots. It's just embarrassing. He's just been awful this year. The one bright spot is Lamar Odom. Thank God for Odom. Odom has been playing great. And I would actually say that, you know, I thought that the whole thing with Kardashian being his wife would be a distraction. If anything, it looks like it's helped him a lot. It seems, I've heard that Khloe is actually a pretty smart girl and has been giving Odom some great advice. So, and I think, you know, playing overseas in the with the USA team over the summertime definitely helped Odom out as well. And you know, it looks like if Kobe and Odom, those two guys are going to make a huge push. And I think the Lakers will be fine. Like so many people say, the playoffs doesn't start for the Lakers until playoff time. You know what I'm trying to say. So the other thing is, you know, if you look at all of Phil Jackson's championship teams, all the three-peats, like every single time, the third year when they won the championship, going back to '93, and then '98, and then with the Lakers in 2000, like the last year of the three-peat, like they didn't have great seasons. Like they really got off to slow starts. So it's pretty much a continuing pattern to see. You know, the third year in the three-peat year is kind of a weak year for the team. Even Jordan and Pippen, they had a tough time in '93. You know, going back to that, they were kind of burned out from the Olympics. They got off to a slow start. And then you look at the '98 team. You know, Jordan actually contemplated. You know, he got in the fights with teammates. He said, "Oh man, I should have never came back," because Pippen was out. You know, I mean, people forget Pippen was out with an injury for most of that year, so they got off to a bad start. So that's just the way it is. You know, it's very, very difficult to, you know, get to the finals 4 times in a row. So I would imagine that the fatigue is definitely a factor. But now the All-Star break is done, it looks like the Lakers are getting this shit together now. So that's pretty much that. All right, so let me just touch on trades really quickly. Boston traded Kendrick Perkins for Jeff Green. Well, a lot of people are probably saying that was a dumb trade because Perkins, if the Celtics had Perkins in Game 7 of the finals last year, they would have won the championship. Well, I'm thinking that this is probably Danny Ainge's mindset. Now, the injury might be a lot worse than You know, you guys might remember Perkins got hurt last year, and he's been hurt for the whole season so far. So maybe this injury is a lot worse than we really think it is, and maybe Ainge just saw, you know, that Perkins' trade value was still there and went after a great all-around player. Now, Jeff Green is a great all-around player. You see Steve Smith, the NBA TV analyst, put this guy over huge as one of the best all-around players in the game. Now, he's not a great player. You know, I mean, he took that shot the other night and he airballed it. He should have gave it to Durant. So, I mean, I can see why people are saying that this looks like a bad trade. But Boston got another great all-around player. You know, it's as simple as that. Now, they do. You would think that they wanted, you know, that one of Boston's selling points was their size. So they did give up size. So I can see why people think it's a bad trade. But I just want to make it clear that I get where Ainge is coming from. I can see why he did it. And maybe Perkins was really, really banged up to the point where he wasn't going to be, you know, beneficial to the team. So Baron Davis to Cleveland, not a surprise there. Baron Davis has been, you know, putting on weight and hasn't been motivated since 2007. So I can see that happen. All right, Darren Williams to the Nets. The Jazz traded away their franchise player Darren Williams because they didn't want to get raped like Cleveland did. So I think it was a smart move on Utah's part. Jerry Sloan stepping away. Obviously, I think there was a lot more there than we know about. You know, Darren Williams and Jerry Sloan got into an altercation during the Chicago game. Darren Williams thought Jerry Sloan's offense was a little bit too predictable. It's a shame, though. I think Williams, you know, this team in Utah really wasn't going anywhere. I think Williams saw that Boozer was kind of thriving in Chicago and kind of realized that, you know, nothing's really happening. I thought the Jazz were actually off to a good start, but obviously this team couldn't get past the Lakers. Every single year it was the same old shit with them. You know, they were a good team, but they just had zero chance of getting to that championship level. So I think it's good for Utah to start over. You know, it's just a shame that Jerry Sloan had to leave the way he did. You know, one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. I mean, I just have so much respect for that guy. Just the whole way that turned out. I'm not sure what happened there. I mean, it's just maybe he's just burned out. Maybe you know, he's getting old and everything. I don't know. That's just a shame right there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Williams is getting booed in Utah. I'm not sure about that. Let me know if that was the case. Aaron Brooks was actually traded to Portland in a trade between Houston and Portland. Bibby and Crawford are going to the Wizards from Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta is kind of mediocre. I always thought, you know, very, very inconsistent team. Bibby's pretty much done. I like Crawford, though. I think Crawford and John Wall will have a lot of chemistry playing for the Wizards. So I think that's pretty much it. So my top 5 MVPs from this season so far. I'm going to put Derrick Rose at number 1. I'm going to put LeBron at number 2. Dirk at number 3. Dallas, you know, without Dirk, Dallas is just a mediocre team, and Dallas has been on fire this year. It's a shame that Caron Butler went out because I definitely think they have potential to be the number 1 seed. Number 4, I'm going to go with Dwight Howard. Dwight's been a beast this year. I mean, he hasn't got a lot of attention, but, you know, Orlando is still a player, even though they're not having as great of a season as they had the last couple of years. And number 5, I'm going to go with the tie with Amari Stoudemire and Kevin Durant. You know, you give Amari credit, but bottom line is the Knicks have kind of been slipping as of late. I definitely think they're rejuvenated after the All-Star break. I think Amari was kind of burned out, playing too many minutes. Kevin Durant, leading scorer in the NBA, still got to put him in the mix. And yeah, man, I can't believe the NBA is so popular all of a sudden. You know, Mike Francesa has been talking about the NBA all the time, which never really happens. I mean, there's really nothing else to talk about. But yeah, this league has been so exciting. Obviously, you got the Miami situation, the Big Three in Miami. That's the main selling point for this season. The Lakers and Boston rivalry, that's a hot topic. And then on top of that, you have the San Antonio Spurs, the most dominant team in the league this season, and the most dominant team of the decade, are finally back into the mix. A team that everyone has called boring, the biggest turnoff as to why the NBA sucks. You know, because of the Spurs and Nets meeting in the finals, the Spurs and Detroit meeting in the finals. But the Spurs are still there, though. They're still the best record in the league. So that's a great storyline right there. You got Chicago is back. The Knicks are back. You know, Dirk Nowitzki has been playing great in Dallas. So you got a lot of great teams still. You know, you got Dwight Howard in Orlando. Yeah, you got so many great point guards in the league: Chris Paul, Darren Williams, Derrick Rose, Chauncey Billups, and yeah. All right, so this will pretty much be the end of the video. I mean, that's pretty much it. I just want to say that Denver got a lot of nice pieces. I want to say that Denver was brilliant, and you know, being patient about waiting to trade for Carmelo, because I thought they got a lot in return. I thought they made out pretty well, to tell you the truth. They even beat the Celtics last night, so I think that says a lot. Man, what else to talk about? Portland. I want LaMarcus Aldridge's been playing great for Portland. This guy's been scoring like 40 points every other game. So wow, they've been. I think Portland's been overachieving considering all the injuries from this year. So I guess that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take it easy.